All right, everybody, welcome to the FX Evolution live market analysis for the 9th of June 2021. This is, of course, our weekly webinar series for our private community. Welcome to the already 60 plus of you out there right now. My name's Thomas Atkinson. As always, I'm joined by Tyrone Abella. Tyrone, how you going?
Hi everyone. Yeah, we're surviving the weather event, come out of lockdown, and we've got a weather event. I love it when the bureau actually says it's an event. It just apparently 110-kilometer winds. I think it's about 60 or 70 mile an hour winds for everyone from the US. So damn, I can hear it too. So hopefully we'll be able to survive this. The internet doesn't drop out, and we can actually get some trades in.
Yeah, it's ridiculously bad weather here, I've got to say. So if we drop, you know what happened. As always, Ty, look, it's been a very interesting and eventful week. We saw the rise of the apes, the rise of, obviously, in the stock market, pretty big retail trades against the squeeze. We've now seen a big movement towards hyper stocks and high growth stocks in recent days, and the markets are just getting ready across the board in the Forex markets, commodities, and everything else. As always, we will be having a look at each one of the markets. We'll start with our currency, dollar index, commodities, then we'll get into stocks. Ask your questions, community, as we're doing this webinar, and of course we'll answer as best we can. Quick risk warning before we get started: it's important to understand that any of the information contained in this webinar is purely for educational purposes, and the information presented must be considered only general in nature. The information provided will not take into account your specific needs or circumstances, and you must look at your own personal situation and requirements before making any financial decisions, and seek independent financial advice if necessary. So, Ty, let's get straight into the charts. Let's get talking about what's going on in the markets right now, and what better place to start than, of course, the dollar index. And I'm going to go to the weekly just to get started here, kind of similar to what we've both been talking about, and obviously we've also been covering in our YouTube and in our community. This is a market that has almost no direction in terms of the larger timeframes right now. We're in scalper day trade kind of style because we don't have anything going through these long leg dojis, do we?
Yeah, that's right. And look, that provides an opportunity. I don't care what anyone says. I like these sort of markets like this because it tells us exactly where we need to aim for, long or short. And I think we're insulated from, a very sharp dive from here. So you know those bottoms are probably going to hold up. It's going to take a pretty big move to make them go down past those wicks. But realistically, you go to the smaller time frames, throw a 20 moving average on, happy days. You can trade to your heart's content up and down. And I think, look, they've been there, and all the little patterns are playing out inside the channel. So, and we are going to get a breakout at some point, of course, we know this, right? But we're not going to preempt it. So scalp to your heart's content until it reaches those key levels. But those big long-legged dojis that we saw on the weekly, they tell the story. We're in a zone, we're stuck in it. Just trade the ups and downs. I personally don't need to touch the dollar index. We're trading the euro and we're talking about this in reverse, but we're always looking at it because it's the important factor. When we'll quickly go to the euro, I think it's probably the best way to look at it. It's going to be stuck in the same zone, of course. But of course, two things, right? Euro is cheaper to trade. We know that. Spreads are tighter, and you're going to get an easier trade in. So I find it easier to trade. Whatever you see on the dollar index, just do it in reverse on the euro. But there it is there. They can see that people look at that and see mess. I look at that and see opportunity everywhere. Everywhere. Look at all those opportunities.
So Tyrone's obviously talking from the smaller time frame, guys. So things like the 5 minute, 15 minute, 1 hour, and a lot of these. I mean, this was definitely an opportunity for some day traders today if they were in it around this zone. This is a key kind of thing that we see a lot, don't we, Ty? We have resistance coming through this line. Then we have support. This is a false break, unfortunate, but it does happen sometimes. Then you've got the other support being found. Then you've got resistance being found. Nice coiling consolidation, breaks out, comes back and retests it, and there's a lot of buy opportunities here on the really small time frame. So if you're a scalper, this is the type of zone that you look for, and then what you want to do is break it down into really small time frames. So you go down into things like a 15 minute, and we wait for change of trends. I mean, here's a classic case here, Ty, where if you're a scalper, you're looking for this, you're looking for this, and then you just take this little snippet, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. And look, at the end of the day, and here's the thing, right? And this is where people come undone. They're going to say, all right, what are we going to do with this euro? Like right now, what are we going to do? We're going to short it or we're going to long it? Well, you're going to do nothing. Because look at it. It's 10 pips away from a very, very strong resistance zone. You know that, right? So you go to a bigger time frame, and if you're on a 5 minute and you didn't have these lines drawn up, like you could be silly enough to enter this and think, oh yeah, this is happy days, it's going long. But look what it looks like on a 2 hour. We'll go to the 2 hour again, and you can see that there's like a brick wall in front of it. So it needs to break that brick wall. Like look at all that action in between there. This is why you draw your zones. So yes, it behaves itself, but people, I get emails all the time, and it gets frustrating actually after a while because they're entering at these levels where they're not even drawing the lines. Like we talk about this every single Wednesday. This is no time to be entering the euro. When it does that and it retests it from the top and tests it from above, happy days. Love that. What we're waiting for. Just be patient. Don't jump in and just assume. But these levels are like awesome. Look at them.
Yeah,
they're holding up terrific. They're great.
Yeah, I think like this type of thing here, Ty, is definitely an opportunity on the euro moving forward. We'll go over to the pound quickly. Pound's hitting a resistance, but it's probably even a better level in some ways if we do break through it. Very solid level of rejection here. Let's have a look at all the time frames. Let's go through the 8 hour here. Big rejections off the 8 hour. Let's go down to the 4 hour because we want to try breaking it down. 4 hour. Ah, there's a close there. Interesting. So we've pretty much got one of our time frames that we want to be looking at. Then we can go down to something like a 1 hour, see how it's interacted with that zone. Again, 1 hour has never pierced it with a close. And this is what Tyrone and I do a lot of. We break down the time frames. We go multi-time frame. Remember, we do the top-down analysis. That's our thing. That's what we do. Price action through all the time frames. Find the most valid area and then trade it according to that time frame. That's what we're all about. So what have we got going on here? Well, we have a series of higher lows coming in, Ty. You probably like that one. What happens if we sequence break this 141 kind of what would add 90-ish area? I actually think any closure above this on the 1 hour is going to trigger some buys. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a special move, and it's one you want to be waiting for. I mean, it's there. You can see it setting up. It's priming itself. And this is just another example, very similar again. This is not where you go long, right? Even though we're expecting that we might go longer, you wait for it to prove itself. But when it proves itself, it's a far better trade. Like the quality of this trade is so much better in, a few hours time when it breaks that level. And you miss the initial burst and it comes back and tests it from above. Well, you know what? That's even better again. So just be patient, set your levels up. We don't draw lightning bolts because we like storms. We do lightning bolts because it means market momentum. So that's what we're waiting for here. Even though it looks like, it's basically traveling up, it's going into that resistance zone. You don't want to be the first one knocking down that door. Let all of the amateurs break it down, and then you jump in and take all the easy pips.
And you can see it's a super important level even on the daily. It did get through once, and that ended up being a big boost. So it's one of those trades where if I'm looking at this on the 1 hour, and I'm thinking, where's our capabilities here? Well, I think there's a few different zones. In terms of take profits, you're somewhere in here initially, maybe that point there, that 142.10 if you want to be, sneaky. But this is one of those ones I'd probably partially scale out of because I think this is such a key resistance that if I was in a trade like this, I would take a portion off and I would take a portion off and then I might even leave a portion on because we know when we look at higher time frames, it's serious business. And I'm going to show you why it's serious business when we go and have a look at something like the Euro Pound. And I guess I want to just quickly shout out to the community. Tyrone and I bring in a new area into the private community. It's going to be chart of the day. So this allows us, let me just bring this on the screen and you'll see a bit of inception here because Ty and I are streaming through it. But you'll notice we put in the Euro Pound, we explain some concepts here, and we're going to be covering off some concepts that we teach. There'll be other people that are also posting in here. It is not a discussion area. It is a post of charts of the day that we're looking at, so you guys get a bit of an idea of what we look for. Obviously, it's not a signal service, guys. It is purely just to show you the types of things. We want you to get in the mindset of what we hope is going to be your success and the way that we look at the market. So I think that's a really cool thing that's going to be under chart of the day underneath private general channel if you're not aware of it yet.
Is that going to be, is that the admin mum we were talking about?
That's correct.
Yeah, so only very qualified traders will be putting trades in there. So they're definitely charts you want to be checking out every day. And the reason we are limiting discussion in there is to make sure that obviously it doesn't get cluttered with too much. Because otherwise what can happen is, a day of chat of 4,000 people could end up, knocking out, many, many good trades. So the idea is to actually jump in there, look at the charts only, and assess whether you actually want to, do that. The other room that's coming soon, and we're going to coincide it with the release of the options course is the options room. That's going to have an options trade of the day as well, or at least one trade of the day for options as well. So there's a lot of exciting things coming, but this is just the first one. So keep an eye out on it, and it's going to be pretty damn special, because you can bet your bottom dollar most of the setups are going to be using the some sort of a Presic scoring system. So they're going to score fairly well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, look, options is our bread and butter in the commercial field. So, I mean, look, you know, guys, we love all markets except for wheat, and or at least me. and the way we look at it is that you can trade using very similar concepts. So we'll be going through options. That's going to be a big spear point of the future of the channel as well. I think that's going to be a big thing. So we talked about pound strength then, Ty, potentially coming in. What does that potentially mean? It could mean euro weakness versus pound. We saw both were kind of pressing towards the upward side. Imagine if that pound broke through that key resistance and started firing. What's going to happen at a very similar time? Remember, there's synergies across all things. So here we've got a series of lower peaks coming through. We've got a rejection candle. We've got a very heavy support through this 85.80. Ty and I have talked in the past in webinars about how much we love the 80 zone, the 20 zone, the 00 in Forex trading. It's actually really pivotal, and I think we'll probably do a secret tip on that at some point, Ty. That might be the one I do this week for everybody. And when we get a closure through this area, what happens? It will trigger selling event. Now, the selling event will firstly stop somewhere around here, but then I believe that there's even more potentially in this all the way down to this 85 zone. So what do you think about the series of lower peaks, Ty? Because there's two ways to trade this, and both are incredibly valid.
They most definitely are, and the key here is just to wait. I think you're going to hear a lot of the word wait today, because there isn't a lot
CPI
actually
data
saying jump in right now. Yeah, so we're going to do a fair bit of waiting. But you know what? I always look at it like this, and this might be a little, if we were talking about secret tips, you don't have to trade a lot if you trade one good trade a week. Right now, I know that sounds. I know people trade a lot more than one a week, but I find the biggest flaw of a lot of traders is that they actually try to overtrade and they feel they need to trade multiple times a day. Absolutely. Sometimes it's just not on. There's nothing on. And if you trade for the sake of trading because you think you've done enough analysis, what ends up happening is you end up. Generally, it ends up shit, right? Like it'll end up costing you, and then you're gonna have to find another trade to make up for the trade that you just lost. And you're like, man, I wish I went and watched, a show with my wife instead. And that's what happens. It's no good. You want to be absolutely only trading quality. It's really, really important, because you don't need a lot of trades to be successful. Look at it this way, right? You trade one trade a week, say a 2-to-1 trade. Say you look for a 2-to-1 trade every week. You can afford to get probably 1 in every 3 wrong, and you're still going to make about 50 or 60% for the year. How does that grab you? All you have to do is trade, once a week. You can still take losses. That's how simple trading can be. So people really overcomplicate it, all right? So just my point for the story is only trade quality. Don't try and preempt what's happening here. Wait for exactly what we're seeing here. Wait for that break up. Wait for that breakdown. It's going to make the quality trade, and God forbid if it goes down, touches that level and comes back and tests it from the bottom, even happier days. It makes it even stronger.
Yeah, I quite like this one. I think it's a valid kind of theory and concept. Lower peaks coming through. Trading both ways, though, is the talent of the trader. Most people see this and they go, oh, this is a descending triangle or something. And yeah, that's fair enough, or whatever, valid. But it's actually more about trading both ways and recognizing that if we clean these levels here, what are we doing? We're taking out shorter stop losses. In essence, we're going to see a radical move. And I talked to Tyrone about this. I actually think the reversal trades have been better than the actual break trades down like here. When you're taking out those stop losses and you're completely going against what general small brain people sometimes think about, Ty, that's been powerful, man. That's been powerful stuff over the last 12 months.
You've got to remember, and I think you've got to be very, very mindful, that our biggest advantage as just retail traders is our ability to be very, very agile in the market. Now, by agile, I mean we can flip our decision on a very, very fast move up or down here. We're not locked into a certain direction. That's where you leave your bias at the door. It's all right to have a feeling that it may, a preference, let's call it, rather than a bias, but don't let that preference get in the way of a good trade. Don't be too caught up on, that should be going down, I'm not going to take it. Most of the time, unless there's a fundamental reason not to, you need to be taking the trade that presents. That's really, really important.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most important things. We'll go over here to a couple other currencies as we roll through the markets. And also, I just wanted to say to Kim, I left Aussie Broadband, Kim. That's why my internet doesn't drop anymore. They IPO'd, and surprise, surprise, crap service is ensuing. Crap. That is not an endorsement for Aussie Broadband. And I put Tyrone onto them as well. I'm incredibly upset with that company.
Is that what's going to happen to FX Evolution? When FX Evolution floats, is the service going to turn to shit?
Absolutely not, Ty. It's going to go to the moon, man. It's going to go to the moon. It's going to go so much better. They're going to get injection of liquidity.
Well, you know why it'll be better? It'll be because the 70-odd thousand people that we actually have following, because we'll probably own shares in it.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll actually be owned by the people. So I think that might be the thing that actually drives it higher and higher. So I like that idea.
Yeah. We can find some person to short squeeze us, and then it's a short as hard, like short 50% of our stock, and then all the AMC crowd will come in. they'll save the day. It's like all in a strategy, yeah. Let's have a look here at the euro yen. Sorry, this is a pretty nice breakout clean, and I quite like this actually. It's consolidated decently around this key zone. So you've seen resistance in the past here, resistance, support, resistance, a series of higher lows. It's actually just breached, Ty, and there's double rejected the zone on the 1 hour. I think actually it's kind of like already hit a level, which is nice. But when you think about it, this is a triple now touch that it hasn't cleared. Even a little bit of clearance here should instigate buying back up to this zone. And I'll draw that one up for everybody because this is a perfect area for take profits. This is a 1 hour 200 around this level. Somewhere in this area, let me draw my rectangle. And the rectangle in here. Somewhere here, I expect this thing to go to. I think it looks all right.
Yeah. I think it's a nice trade. Yeah, and I think it wants to do it too. And a pull back down to that level, roll reversal, happy days. I mean, we'll have a look at the pound yen as well, because Hyro here has said that the pound yen has a nice lightning bolt. Now, when people in the room, bless their hearts, are using lightning bolt in their descriptions, to me, that's like listening to my first child say, "Daddy." I just love it. And because you know what it tells me? It tells me that people are following price action and they're looking for price action. So, Hyro, let's see this lightning bolt. Damn straight it is. Oh yeah, look at it. And it's got the moving averages behind it too. Off a double bottom.
I still remember when I got sold. There's always this entrepreneurial spirit. This is a completely sideways topic, but it's an entrepreneurial spirit that sometimes you see in people. And I remember myself when I first started. I was about 4 years old, and I made a snail collecting business. Yes, that is the randomness of what I did. But I still remember Tyrone's son. He came to me. How old was he, Ty? 3, 4 when I met him first, and he tried to sell me cards. Remember, he drew pictures. He sold them to me.
He actually came in. This is an absolute true story. My son was 4, and he came into the shop. You know, Thomas was managing it at the time.
Yeah.
He went into the back room. He cut up just pieces of random paper, just scribbled on them. It was around Christmas time. Put them in a basket and was going around the store selling them to customers for about 50 cents. And I was thinking, look at this little kid going around and selling this. And he came up to myself and Thomas, and I kid you not, he said, "Dad, can you believe that these people are paying 50 cents for this rubbish because they think I'm cute?" And I thought to myself, this boy is going somewhere.
Yeah,
and great. I kid you not, he was 4 years old. Love it.
Yeah, it's pretty. But sometimes, a lot of those people become traders, entrepreneurs. It's interesting. You can kind of tell at the start. So speaking of pound yen here in the lightning bolt, Tie, we've got also a little bit of a double bottom going on here. So a lot of these yens are broken out, then they've reversed, they've come down, and they're right at that zone. So how do we play this? Do we go on a 5-minute, 15-minute time frame, look for lightning bolt here, small time frame, take it up into this series of lower peaks, lower highs?
I think there's many ways you can play it. I think a lot of it's going to come down to what your time frame's like, right? So you know where your target's going to be. It's pretty straightforward. It's really whether you're going to scalp it or whether you're going to swing trade it. And yeah, Hyro there. What I really love about lightning bolts are cool, right? But when you see a lightning bolt like this, I really like this lightning bolt. Why? Because it's broken through 2 moving averages, and then it's coming back and testing the top of the moving averages now. So it's got a lot more support than it had previously. So really nice. I like it. It's a good spot. But you know where your target is here, okay? So what you want to do is pick your poison. Are you gonna take it all the way up there and try and do it in one hit, which is going to require maybe a bigger stop loss, or you're going to try and scalp the hell out of it on the smaller time frame? So it really comes down to where you're at time frame wise. Wherever you are in the world, are you going to be up for the next few hours? Are you going to scalp it on a 5-minute, 15-minute? But I think the top is pretty logical. You wouldn't want to be looking too much past that, because I think it's got a predetermined take profit, that's for sure. So that's what you need to be looking at there. But good spot.
Another thing that sometimes we can do is whenever we're looking at so many yens and we've got a few yens through, you want to go and have a look at US dollar yen, because you don't want that to be breaking down against you. Ideally, it's stuck in a zone or it's looking for resistance. So at this point, you can clearly tell that it's kind of stuck in some sort of mad hatters, very small movements here. This is so trapped right now. It doesn't know what it wants to do. But guess what? If it's trapped, that's okay. But you need to be very, very careful about what the yen does. Because if US dollar yen breaks under here and you're in those ones long, that is not going to be ideal. Ideally, this is coming with you, breaking through here. All the others are starting to fire, and there's a lot of runway here on US dollar yen. So I'd be looking at this chart, paying attention to it. Certainly something I would do. I think that was some seriously hardcore lightning, and I just got them. I'm telling you guys, it is wild over here in Melbourne right now.
It is. It's a really, really wild night. I've never heard wind in the OG like it, to be honest.
It's bad.
Andre, the moving averages, blue, red, and green. The blue one is a 50 moving average as an exponential. The red one is a 20 exponential moving average, and the green one is a 200 SMA. Okay, so simple moving average. But we use them on every chart. We don't change them up every time frame, every chart. We know what we're looking at then, and they're the ones that we find work best for the strategies that we're looking at.
Just looking at all the yens here, they all seem to be firing, other than New Zealand yen, with very similar concepts. So I guess in the Forex world right now, we have CPI data coming out for the US. Remember to have your calendar up, guys. You want to be aware of ECB press conference as well. We've got a monetary policy statement on Thursday at the close. These things, and of course a Bank of Canada rate statement as well. All these things are going to be affecting the currency markets over the next day. Big red news, big red news, big red news, big red news. If you trade scalp and you go into this, it's dangerous. If you're in the stock market, I think it's less dangerous, but of course, in any scalping or day trading scenario, this type of stuff, especially for Forex, is a big deal. And then you've got Bank of England, Governor Bailey speaking as well. So you've got some serious stuff coming up Thursday, Friday. Currencies will start moving. Tyrone said before there's a lot of weights going on in the market. I think that's, again, or we both think that's because this news is coming out. And then after that, we should get even clearer direction. And I'd love to see the dollar index break up or down from those weeklies. That would be really crazy. So I think it's short, sharp, and sweet at the moment in the markets. Wait for more direction. We'll come back in. We'll be in the community supporting you guys along that journey and along that way as we see the news unfold. Ty, quickly go over here to gold. Gold is at the exact level that we expect it to find buying pressure around this 1888 and 1890 zone. That being said, it's really tough to know what's going on. This would be a classic case of what I would do, being I would actually not buy anywhere near this zone. I would be waiting for it to break through here because we're starting to see more information. We've seen a test. We've seen a test again. We've got some rejections here as well. So we know anything through this should signal up to here. Again, it could be a little bit of a scalp kind of day trade in there. And I've still got these plans for 1910 if it can hold through, but it all depends on dollar index. So you can see here gold's moving at this stage, but if it gets through this 1896, Ty, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'd rather wait on gold. I think I'd want to see it break that level. It's got plenty of room on the upside. I think that it's worth the wait. It can be a little bit. The problem with gold, and especially when it is in the middle of a kind of zone, is that it can take out a stop loss and a fair stop loss at that really easily, and then turn around and just basically wave its nose at you and go. And then there's nothing more irritating than that. And then that might force you to try and get in again, and it's just a disaster. So you want to be really careful and clear with that. But I think when it gets past those key levels, it's a good trade again. I like it. I do like it, but just not yet.
Yeah, I really want to see these wicks get taken out. 4-hour, 8-hour daily, they're the ones of the time frames we're looking at. US oil continues to crunch high here, sitting at 70.34. I'm really glad that we're correct on the black gold. I saw something, I might grab it out of the Discord community. Someone sent me this today. My goodness, who sent it to me? Someone sent me a private chat or something in maybe the community itself, and it was crazy. It was like the biggest... Anyway, I'll tell you what it was. It was a Twitter, I think, from Klim. Thank you, Klim. And it was basically saying that the biggest call option activity right now is on $100 a barrel. Can you believe it? Yeah, jeez. The biggest call option activity was on $100 a barrel. Now, that's like kind of like saying when the biggest call option activity was on AMC at $40. Yeah, the thing is that it did end up going there, but what's going to happen is the expectation is becoming extreme. So people are buying this black gold, they're buying the oil in, and it's certainly moving. Let's get it onto a moving average chart, and we'll bring this over. And where are we? We're going to get this US oil. Let's get the 4-hour out, and I think it's acting pretty good. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, Ty. Generally speaking, this red line, the 20 moving average, has been holding up the pullbacks. This was a little bit deeper, but then we got that indecision candle, the long leg doji here. I'll zoom that in for everyone so they can see it. And we're getting close to the first target, 72. We're at 70.35. It's still looking great. Anything? I don't see the trend stopping anytime soon. But what I would be following, I saw that before, and I thought, is this now kind of hitting it? It pulls back. Is that the 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back as it grinds higher? Critical during the US session.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Look, it's for me, it's already had its move that was easy trading. Now it needs to kind of keep breaking to new highs, and I would still be scalping it though. I don't know if I'd be going for a longer term. Only now because it's starting to reach the levels now where, I mean, could it go to 75? Probably. It's probably where it's going. But I don't know if I'd want to do it in one move. I think I'd probably rather just keep getting in and getting out on this one. And you know what? It's behaving itself exactly like you would want it to too. Like, realistically, if you were taking your profits after the swings and then rebuying again on the 20, like you'd be so much more in front than holding one position.
I mean, yeah, you would. I mean, especially considering we recognize these things on the 2-hour time frame, especially we were talking about, we recognize this all the way back over here, the 50s as the deeper pullbacks and the 20s as the shallower ones. So there's certainly been a lot of opportunity here on gold. I'm sorry, on black gold, and I like it. I think it's been going all right. We'll quickly go over here to the US 10-year. I just wanted to mention this, Ty, because I think it's important for anyone trading the markets. Check out that break, guys. 10-year yield is getting punished today in the session, which is going to lead to, of course, what we're seeing here, which is a market trying to crack new highs, especially important to the US 100. So if this thing stays low, it could really sell through. Lower peaks coming through here, bit of a closure. That could push the 10-year yield right back down to like a 1.4 or 1.35, and then all of a sudden, I still think it goes up over here, but it's an interesting indicator that's coming through.
I think probably the scary thing about that is that those moving averages look like they want to cross, and I tell you what, it's going to take some movement up now to stop that from crossing. That is a dead set triangle, and those moving averages are about to cross. So you look at that and you think to yourself, wow. And then on the other one too, like you think about the last cross, like look at the last time it crossed. Can you look at that? Like far out.
Yeah, it's not. So it's proving again and again.
Crosses, it's a long way. When it crosses, there are very few. Like look at them. Like count the last 4 or 5 crosses. It's taken years.
Yeah, a lot of crosses have been pretty serious on this one.
So you've got to pay attention.
Some have been fast, but most of them have been long term.
Really interesting.
Yeah, 10-year yields leading on to the indices going up. We'll quickly talk about the Nasdaq. We've got a lot to cover, obviously, and we've got some questions here as well, Tyler, we want to answer. So Nasdaq, I think it's on the warpath to 14,000. Ty, your thoughts? Everyone knows probably my opinion on this one. What do you think?
Yeah. You talk about it every single night. I listen. I'm there. I hear everything.
Well, what are your opinions?
I agree. I think that I think it wants it, and I think it's got enough momentum to get there too.
Yep.
And look, it's doing all the right things chart wise, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the moving averages are separating. It's making new highs. It's looking a lot stronger than the SP 500 is. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, the SP 500. Speaking of that one's right on the peak. You reckon it breaks today? No, you reckon just the
No.
Nasdaq goes, the rest rotates?
Yeah. I think the Nasdaq can go without it. Doesn't need it. In fact, I reckon it'll probably be better. It's actually better for the Nasdaq when the S&P doesn't go, because I think more money pours into the tech stocks. And I think the stack. It's actually a question. I mean, we will cover it in a minute from Craig. I actually think that stocks are becoming more and more of a swappable thing now. Like, I don't think people are holding on like they used to. They're absolutely trading them, day trading them. And I do believe that people are actually getting out of stocks and jumping into others on a daily basis. And I think it's great, because it means, what we don't want in a stock market is people just buying and holding and never letting go. Because if they're not letting go, there's no trading action, right? Like, so what we're seeing is a very highly transactional market at the moment, even in the stock market. And I think that's a really, really good thing, because it means that we're going to see, separation. We don't want to see three markets go at the same time. Like, say, for instance, the Dow Jones and the S&P, they do basically move in sync. They never separate far from each other. But I think that the US, the 100, I think can definitely do it without it. And a flat S&P 500 will not stop the 100 going to 14,000.
Mark Ad says the Russell looks stronger. Absolutely. So onto Tyron's thought process there. The US 100's moving, and obviously is maybe going to get rotation out of other stocks. They go into tech. Overall, the S&P 500 is actually relatively flat, but we're seeing the Russell at the same time go hyper here, where it's starting to move through. It's already broken through the resistance. We've got like a big channel range that's been there. When you have a look at the weekly, that's the compelling story. And I guess to the private community, the thing that I always want to say, and Tyrone wants to say, is pay some attention to the candles. And the candles here, they constantly were saying rejection, 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 rejection. Someone was buying each week. We don't know who the hell was buying. I guess it was Wall Street. But realistically, then you suddenly had this little closure above, and you're starting to see this thing really come into its own. So will we have another push here from the Russell? It's certainly looking that way at this stage.
Yeah, that's a lot of rejection candles in a row.
Oh yeah,
like,
crazy
geez,
amounts.
you can't ignore them.
No, we can't ignore them. So indices, we're kind of positive here. I don't think the bears are in control at this stage of the markets over the next couple of days. CPI will obviously loom on that. Possibly the S&P 500 also floats around today while the Nasdaq goes and does its thing while we await CPI. We'll quickly move over to the crypto markets, then we'll go back to some of those Forex questions, Ty. So crypto just secured a bit of a bull hammer here. So it got a bit of a bull hammer. It's now closing up. We've still got the triangle. This is all happening due to El Salvador or something. The president and the prime minister or something's come out and he's like, Bitcoin's legal tender. That could be a sugar rush. I mean, he's literally went on a live stream or something. I don't know what the hell's going on there, to be honest. But they've secured Bitcoin now as the legal tender. It's running off that news. But as we know, it may go up to this trend line and then fully dump off that zone. So I would be hyper aware of this trend line off the triangle lows and seeing the interaction of the market if it does bounce here. And this is going to put it into something like a 36,000 if it can continue up here. So it might look like it's recovering, but at the same time, we've also got previous closures on the daily. Very critical day here for Bitcoin if it can follow through. And I have this feeling we're going to get another low that's going to form through, but that's obviously a feeling. It's not based on price action at this stage. So Ty, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it really wants to touch the 20. I don't know if it will. I don't know if it will reject fast enough. I think it wants to touch the 20 because it needs to really. If it sold off from here and started and made a new low, I'd be a little bit more concerned for it, to be honest. I think it needs a bit more of a resurgence. The sugar rush might help, but it certainly kicked it along. I still worry that it's influenced by so many different things. It does take away a little bit of the technical side of it. So I think a lot more things are ideal here more than anything else. Like it'd be ideal if it touched the 20. It'd be, but realistically, it's being driven by things that aren't totally in our control. So we can't control someone's tweet or someone's thoughts on whether they're going to be able to buy a car with it or not.
And that's sometimes when we pull back, don't we? We have to pull back from that trade and we have to say, okay, well, let's reassess this market once that isn't the effect. We want a purely technical market that's influenced by big news, sure, because that's always going to be the way. But we don't want random tweets about El Salvador or random Elon Musk going psycho or Jack Dorsey having a schiz attack. Who knows? We don't need those things, because if those things happen, then all of a sudden we can lose money in what we're trying to do, which is play the statistics. And
right. When you're doing that sort of stuff, when you're relying, I suppose, not really doing, when you're relying on that sort of stuff, what you're really doing is gambling, right? Because you can't control that and you can't know that. Like I've just, like I said, like we explained earlier, when there's so much quality out there that you can actually trade with a great deal of confidence because history repeats itself and it's really technically sound. I think Bitcoin's just fun to watch. I don't know if it's so much fun to trade at the moment.
Now, we've got a few others, Ty, that we've been looking at in the market. So we'll go over to a couple of stocks here that we've been watching. This is ARKG. It's a genomic revolution ETF. Now, it's obviously an ETF, so it's not usually as good. But I tell you what, once we clear this zone, we've got here some rejections. We've got, obviously, the lower peaks coming through here. We've got 200 simple moving average on the daily, a 50 exponential. You've got a bit of a bull kind of movement there yesterday. Some people might say, oh, it's, could be hangman or whatever. But realistically, this type of thing, interesting stuff. And we've seen this a lot of times play out in stocks recently. We saw it happen over here with Plug through those series of lower peaks. This is something that usually shows us that the end is close or very, very near. And whenever you see these types of things occur, usually you're starting to say, hey, there's a change in the air. We get a new high across any of these ones, and all of a sudden, we can move very closely to the 130. Ty, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like it. I think if it breaks that level, I think it's going to have an almighty lightning bolt. I really do, and I think it's got some serious power behind it. That level, the circles you've just drawn there, is the obvious target, and I think it's 130. It just wants it. I mean, and I think it'll get there too. It's only got to break through. I'm not seeing weakness here. It would want to, it needs to do it. I mean, I wouldn't be just jumping in. I think if you get a close above those levels, I think you got a pretty clear target. I can't wait for the day that I jump on your YouTube and actually see all these random charts I've never seen before in my life and actually have an opinion on them.
Well, here you go. You can have this opinion on this one. What do you think about this one?
Deere & Company.
Yeah, tractor company. I'm going to give you, because I know you haven't looked at this one, but I'll give you some context. Yeah, I'll give you context though. Look at
Jesus.
I know you haven't seen this one. What a joke. What a joke. But wait, okay, let's go down here and then let's think about this weekly and then we go down to the daily. Now, does that look like a chart where you're excited to buy this zone?
Well, I mean, the moving average doesn't excite me, that's for sure.
No,
but
nothing here excites me.
not after that move. Like a big giant hyper move like that is calling for a pretty big reject. What you're looking for here is that lightning bolt on the breakdown, and by golly, it's got something to fall, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But,
it's a crapper.
The 200 would be my target on this one, because I mean the 200 would probably line up with that last point of resistance
too.
there. You can see.
Right
there. I think that would be a probably very reasonable level, and it'll get there too. Like if that breaks that level there, I think it'll probably fall fairly quickly.
This is
what I love about even though it looked like it was so hyper extended and everything, it still actually found support on the 20 all the way up, even on a daily chart. So it was pretty cool. You wouldn't say you didn't get your chance to get in if you wanted to go long. By golly, the signs are there now. And I do when there's a big move like that, and the moving averages have been separated for so long, you can't ignore when they're about to cross back down. Okay, you really can't ignore that, and that is setting up. Once again, it's one of those ones where you wait, but I reckon though, if you get that and it retests it from the bottom, it'd be even better. I'd probably like a little bit more clarification on it. Like if it does that, that's special. That'd be a very special trade.
We don't often bring up shorts in the market, but I saw this one someone donated last night. They sent me this, and I instantly thought this, which is, of course, Wyckoff or Wyckoff theory. And when you think about it, what it's done with even that big false test up here, well, we obviously just know of it as the basic human psychology and trading. But when you have a market that has gone up like that one has, that was insane. And then it's done this false breakout. It's come down. It's consolidating here. Tyrone and I well known a coil here is certainly not a buy. Now, if it breaks through these wicks, sure. Yeah, let's go all the way up here. But at this stage, I would not buy. You could not make me buy that. I don't want to buy that. Unless you give me more money, so much money that I can wear the risk down to 300. I do not like that thing. Yeah.
You
What a
wouldn't
great
buy that at
TA
this,
though.
no, would not buy it at this level with Kathy or even Kevin's money.
No, exactly. We're going to be doing that one. We've got a few people asking about the CN50. Yep, I totally agree. It's right on support. It's doing the right kind of thing. It's coiling after a very nice movement here. I love this kind of spring movement that's occurring. Some people would call it like a little flaggy that's coming through here. But I particularly like the 20 being touched. I like the fact that we've got multiple resistances here. And probably I would, if I was trying to get involved in the participation phase, like we've talked about for a couple of weeks, there's a lot of upside action here. There's at least the 19,000, and then there's also this 20,400. So, if we're looking here, I'd probably go into the smaller time frames, seeing how this is formed, which is pretty sporadic. As you can see here on the charts, it's like seriously weird. I don't know why it's going up and then down and then up and then down. It's like pumpy dumpy.
It's a bit weird there, isn't it? Yeah.
That looks weird as hell, but yeah, maybe we get like a breakout here.
You need it, yeah. Hey Ray, tell me, just type into the chat room. Do you are you actually in this, or are you just looking at are you actually actively trading it? Because the only reason I ask is because you ask about this one every single week, and
definitely in it, I'd say.
Are you in it and you're actually trading it actively, or are you just type in? I'm just curious because I know you're really, really into it. By golly, you do ask for it every single week.
This was another request coming in from who said New Zealand US dollar.
I saw that. I saw that up there.
Someone asked New Zealand US dollar. I did see it. Here we go. Ray again. So it's Ray asking for this one. So yeah, absolutely. Range bound central. Really great trades each side. Let's have a look at the 2 hour and 1 hour here. So there's been some nice little shorts and some buys off this zone. It's clearly in monster consolidation. It's actually relatively technical inside it as well. What I would see is if you're going to trade it, obviously buy sells looks good. Closures, you're going to take the distance as per any good TA. You'll take the distance down. You want to proof it, see how it proofs perfectly with that support. I love that. I love the test proof, and then top it's predicting a bigger high. So I'm seeing a few things going on here. I've got like a little bit of a series of lower peaks, lower highs coming through. If you want to trade within it, some people will actually do this. They'll wait for the closure here to occur. They'll wait for a pullback. They'll take it to the top of the channel. There's a lot of different ways of playing this one out. Ty, your thoughts? I think it's a pretty nice channel.
It is, and I think the opportunities are really good inside. I like the New Zealand USD. Like I've liked it all year. Actually, I think it's been very technical all year. It's behaved itself in a manner that you could actually get some good trades in and actually follow it through. And I know it's consolidating now, but earlier on it wasn't. Earlier on in the year, it was like super strong. It's been a good one. I don't think anything's changing here. I think that as long as you're aware, I think that's what it comes down to. As long as you're aware of your levels that you have to be really careful around, and trade within those levels, I think some opportunities on the smaller time frames really, really present themselves. So no, it's a good one. No issue with that one.
Yeah, I think it's not bad. We've got also a request here for XPD US dollar, XPD Palladium. Let's have a quick look at Palladium. Wow, okay. ADR. Is that actually going through? Yeah, it is. This is a classic case of if we can get a time frame, daily in this case. Oh man, if it breaks past here. Might even set an alert myself. That would be a special one. Trough, peak, higher trough with a fakie. Imagine if it came straight through there, Ty. Bang. And we broke through that trend line down. I'm feeling bullish action will incur. But a lot of metals, yeah, a lot of metals, because there's also a bit of support through here, I reckon, on the smaller time frame. A lot of metals, though, are struggling. They're starting to struggle. You can see that. Let me have a look on the monthly to see how insane this went. It's been going good for quite a few years. I guess not insane. It had that Feb 20 move, got crunched, and then it's gone back up. And it's kind of coiling, actually, more around the peak. So sometimes it pays to go out to the higher timeframes to understand this. So interesting, it closed above monthly, bullish in itself, and now it's actually consolidating underneath that. Long leg dojis, a little bit of decision, daily here. Oh, it's super interesting how it's coiling right above. It's the type of thing where if I see it go long, and I'm sure Tyron agrees with this, then we could be cracking 3,000 and going towards like a 3,200 plus. There's some room here.
Yeah, there is. No, definitely. It's one of those ones where you got to.
And it died. You guys got me? Are we still live? We'll have to just test. I think my net just dropped for a second there. We got hit by a monster. So I'm just making sure. Someone just give a quick chat in the room. I think we lost. Yeah, because it looks like it's only up for 18 seconds. Still live? Okay. We must have come back. Live. Yeah, it's bizarre. It's like re-recorded it. All right, well, we'll quickly go through a few others because we do need to go to the other stream. We've got an S32 question, and then we've also got a question about portfolios. What do you guys recommend percentage-wise for personal portfolios? So we can't give you exact percentage because everybody, Craig, has got different risk tolerances and stuff like that. Obviously, crypto, for most people is going to be the biggest risk, biggest gamble kind of position. So you've got to be very protective there. Metals, Forex, those kind of things are usually more trades. And then stocks is generally where stocks and bonds is usually where, and real estate is people investing and holding longer positions.
If you haven't already, the stock market masterclass goes right into that. It shows you the asset classes and how to build your portfolio and how to actually break it down. But probably more importantly, it actually tells you when to rotate in and out of them because of the sector rotation and the business cycle. I think that's probably the biggest key to that masterclass. I think a lot of people actually underestimate the masterclass because it hasn't got shiny edges. The stock market one isn't as shiny and as exciting as the technical one because you can get in and out really quickly with the technical analysis one. But make no mistake, the stock market one gives you a lot of information on not only how to build a portfolio but also how to manage it and rotate between the sectors. And I think and that's what it comes down to too. It's not just about a certain percent. Sometimes that percent needs to be bigger or smaller given what the business cycle is doing. And the sector rotation is doing as well. So you want to be certainly in and out of the. I don't like set and forget. You probably gathered that by the fact that we actually do trading every single week. But there are portfolios that you can do that a little bit with. But I think we're in an environment now where it's right for the rotating in and out. It doesn't mean you're going to do it every day, but I think that you're going to make a lot more money when you actually understand what the cycles are doing. And we talk about it all the time, and you see them playing out all the time as well. So hopefully, you sort of do, get on board on that and realize that there are better ways to trade it than rather just hoping for the best and staying in it.
A question here from Chris about S32. This is the way that I'd analyze it, Chris. I think you're in a ascending channel, and effectively you've got to trade it like that. So basically Chris was buying somewhere in here, I believe, Ty, somewhere around 295, break of resistance. It's been in an uptrend for a little while. I think what you're probably doing is technically you're probably trading it fairly correctly. I mean, you're waiting for a break, I understand. But even at this point, you should have been well aware that there's this line that's coming through with these peaks. That's just something like just constructively, that's what I would have been looking at.
You may have missed that channel, Chris. I think that's probably the problem there. And that channel, it had enough touches. It only needs 2 touches to be valid. And it had enough touches to be a warning. And when you're trading at the area that you were, and that's right in front of you, it's sort of a fraught for a little bit of danger because there's problems right in front of you. So you got to be a little bit careful there. Okay, so that's the only thing you can spot with that. Like if the dead set channel, there's no question about that. It's a ascending channel. It certainly was when you jumped in. Yeah, you can do it. And you know what? Sometimes, Chris, it's actually easy to miss it because a lot of people aren't looking for it. A lot of people are looking for a trend line and support, but they're not looking above. So sometimes you got to look above you. Even when you are trading, you got to look for horizontal static resistance, and you got to look for that dynamic resistance sometimes because the dynamic resistance can give you as much trouble as the static horizontal one as well, right? So just sort of always look up before you take off. And look, you're gonna make those mistakes. Look, it could have blasted through it as well. It's still looking relatively strong. It's got a bit of a top going on at the moment. I don't know. It's tough. I think it's got a bit of it's got a bit of trouble in front of it.
Well, I think the problem is that you're buying it around $3 as well. So you're basically buying a 295 into a 3. This is the resistance becomes support area. It had problems with it before. It's going to consolidate. You're in a trend line. It's got to do work. If it gets above 310, then sure, this thing should be off. At that point, I think that it's really starting to make some good moves in trying to get to the 350. And we've been watching S32 ourselves, so we're well aware of this one. But Yeah, I think just the problem is the zone and mostly this ascending channel. Tyrone, anything else that you want to look at?
We've got so many new people here tonight. Welcome, everyone. That's what I like about the YouTube channels. Like, we've got all of these people who don't often make our normal webinar. We do this every Wednesday, of course.
We've done it for years.
Even Stacey's there. Hi, Stacey. I've never seen Stacey at one of our webinars. So it's really cool. And look, we do this because we really try to bring in a lot of technical analysis. We spend a little bit more time on each of the pairs, as you probably realize, than Thomas does, because Thomas has to cover about 500 pairs in an hour and a half, where we are a little bit more focused and spend a little bit more time on it. And if you want to go deeper again, you come to Thursday's Q&A for the members, because we literally spend about 10 minutes on each pair, really delving into what we're seeing. So we do this to try and teach what we're seeing. So not just saying, oh, good place to buy, good place to sell. Why is it a good place to buy? Why is it a good place to sell? And we try to incorporate as much of the course as possible in it as well, so you can learn, because the whole idea is to actually pass on our teaching. But we appreciate every single one of you. Don't make no mistake. Whether you're joining Thomas's webinars or our one or Thursdays, whichever you're doing, your support is amazing. And although we have been a little bit absent in the Discord room over the last week and a half, we've had a massive undertaking with the transition of the program to the new platform. But don't worry, we're going to come back bigger, stronger, and with more rooms to help everybody. So it's going to be even better in the future.
Yeah, so I'll just leave this today, Ty. I think we've got a lot of stuff going on here. But we've got a question coming in from Sukvir Trades, I believe. Maybe that's not your name, but I hope it is. And you're asking, why is long leg doji used as a decision candle when it's indecision candle, as confirmation? It's not about that. It's about, what's this telling you? So an indecision long leg doji is indecision. What we're saying is, if you close above or you close below an indecision candle, think about what that's saying. Decision made. Indecision into decision. That's really that's the key.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I've been skitzing about that candle.
Yeah. Candles tell you everything you need to know about the market, because candles are being formed by the sellers and the buyers. Okay, so when the indecision candle is exactly what it is, and that's why we love candle analysis, because it's telling you exactly what is happening in the market. Yeah. And when the buyers or the sellers have made their mind up, that is the direction you want to be going. So yeah, definitely, it's a really good example as to what we talk about there all the time. That's awesome.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday webinar. We've covered some good stuff. I think to finish with today, we've got some yens that are pretty interesting. We've got core CPI coming out. We've got the euro pound that we looked at as well. A few stocks we looked at: genomic revolution, biotech, indices looking strong. That's a bit of a summary for now. We'll see what the news brings us, and then we'll go from there. I'll see a lot of you in about 5 minutes. I better go prep. 5 minutes for the prep.
Now, guys, just quickly,
get me log in.
For this instance, for this today, I know you registered for today's webinar. I do believe we're going to have to register you again. You're going to have to register again for next week, but we are working on a way to make you auto-register. So once you've registered once, you just get the emails to actually come in the day before and 15 minutes before, okay? So just bear with us. You might have to register one more time, but after that, we are going to make it automated. Damn it. I know we can, and I will. So leave that with me, but just be patient with us. Do it one more time for us, okay?
And remember, guys, subscribe to our content channel. We'll probably end up calling it FX Evolution Live. This is for the private community. We post all of our content in here and share it in the private Discord community. If there's anyone out there that's interested in joining up, remember, there's more than what you see up the top. There's a myriad of rooms. We produce content Monday through to Friday. You can get here. We've got chart of the day now, trading psychology, analysis help, stock market, crypto, currency, real estate. It's all there. Lots and lots of action. It's just going to get better as well. Thanks so much, everybody. See you next week. See you.